Good morning and welcome to the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce CityBeat Breakfast. My name's Karina Nova and I am with ABC 7 News Bay Area. I will be your MC for today's festivities and I am so excited to be here this morning at Pier 27. Isn't this a beautiful location? Yes. A gorgeous view, the sun's coming out, and it's just incredible when you sit here, you look out and think, wow, this is our city, and we get this magical view. So thank you all so much for being here. All right, we're gonna take a moment and think back to what our city looked like in 1850. Gold was just discovered. The population was only 300,000 people, and San Francisco was quickly becoming the largest and most important commercial, naval, and financial center in the American West. Since 1850, the Chamber has been a leading champion of entrepreneurship and economic prosperity. From the Transcontinental Railroad to the Panama Pacific International Exposition, the San Francisco Chamber has a long history of championing the initiatives that make San Francisco a global landmark. And as you can see right over there, there's a cruise ship and people keep coming back because they love our city so much. Today, the Chamber is doing what they do best, bringing us all together because we are all committed to supporting the prosperity of San Francisco. They advocate for businesses of every size, industry, and neighborhoods across the city and region. Yes, I love that. The Chamber is a champion for all businesses, and when we come together, we can create a better city for all. And for any of you that watch ABC 7 News, we say building a better Bay Area. We have a packed agenda today, from the unveiling of the United Airlines CityBeat poll results to the remarks by Mayor London Breed and Board of Supervisors President Aaron Peskin. And before we get started, just a few housekeeping items for you. We're excited to bring you today an inspiring interactive element to today's event, live lettering. And it's a live lettering illustration by our talented local Bay Area artist, Emily Rasmussen. And I think Emily's somewhere over there. So all you have to do is you scan the QR code that's on your program. You're gonna see it. And share your thoughts on your dream future for San Francisco. And your message could be featured in our live lettering illustration. She's gonna take us on a journey from an empty canvas to a skyline filled with the imaginative expressions of our community, our San Francisco. And now, I am excited to introduce our first speaker, someone some of you might know pretty well, Rodney Fong, President and CEO of San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. A quick introduction for Rodney. As a fourth-generation San Franciscan and a small business owner himself, Rodney is a champion for all things San Francisco. We were just talking about taking a cruise out of the city and all the great things that you can do just from right in this area. He continues to bring our business community together with global to create a better San Francisco. So please, once again, help me welcome to the stage Rodney Fong.
Well, welcome to the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce CityBeat Breakfast this morning. We come together this year with knowing that our city's at a crossroads. And the results of our annual poll, which we'll share later today, tell us that we have a lot of work to do. All of the neighbors are more pessimistic about San Francisco than they've ever been. And there's no doubt that we have challenges ahead of us. But I'm confident that San Francisco will overcome. Through great fires, earthquakes, recessions, and pandemics, we are a city that continues to reinvent ourselves. I'm convinced that there's a heavy dose of perseverance in the DNA of all of us who choose to live and work in San Francisco. We use these challenges as opportunities to achieve new heights. I see San Francisco's challenges as a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver on a bold new vision. And that vision starts with recognizing the importance of our city's economic core. Our downtown has long been the center of business and has provided jobs for hundreds of thousands of San Franciscans. It's also been the backbone of our city budget. Fueling almost 80% of the city's GDP, we must take aggressive action. At the Chamber of Commerce, we like to say, we must be prosperous to deliver on our progressive values. We have to embrace this moment in time as a chance to reimagine our core, to ensure its prosperity, to ensure the prosperity of the city. And that's why the Chamber of Commerce has been fighting to rebuild a strong economic core and address income inequality, fighting to ensure that city streets are clean and safe for both residents and tourists alike, to make San Francisco a beacon, a leader of sustainability for the nation, to embrace our entrepreneurs and provide them a pathway to growth, and to break down the barriers that hinder enthusiasm and spirit of small businesses, the heart of our city. I challenge us not to look back at what San Francisco was, but to really look forward to what we can be, to reimagine and push forward a new and even better future. In the coming years, San Francisco will play host to the international stage, APEC coming in November, the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, where leaders from 21 nations around the Pacific Rim will be visiting San Francisco, to the FIFA World Cup in 2026, to the Super Bowl in 2026. I want to thank this year's presenting sponsor, United Airlines. Give them a big hand, please. I want to thank our innovator sponsor, Fifth Third Bank. Give them a good hand, please. Our connecting sponsors, Bank of America and Gensler. Thank you very much for that. And at this time, I want to recognize the Chamber of Commerce Board who is here. And if you could please stand up, and appreciate you sharing that vision with us. If you can stand up just for a second. Thank you all. I also want to thank and recognize the leaders in city government that are here today. Mayor London Breed, thank you very much for your leadership. District Attorney Brooke Jenkins, thank you for your strength. City Attorney David Chu, thank you for fighting David. Assessor Recorder Joaquin Torres, I think, is here. He's still the best dancer among elected officials. Catherine Stephanie, thank you very much. Supervisor Raphael Mandelman, thank you very much. Supervisor Shimon Walton, thank you very much. Supervisor Asa Safai, thank you, Asha. SFO Director Ivar Sator is here, thank you, Ivar. Department of Public Health, Garrett Colfax is here. Office of Small Business, Executive Director Katie Chang is here, so thank you all very much. And I really can't leave without thanking our tremendous staff at the Chamber of Commerce. We are tiny but mighty, and give our staff a tremendous hand for all the work they've been doing. Lastly, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. It says a lot when you can pack a room with almost 600 people here, standing room only in the back, and that feeling of pride, of Chamber of Commerce membership pride, the feeling of association, belonging, the feeling of alliance, the feeling of camaraderie is oh so important right now. And it really starts here today. So I want you to introduce yourself to somebody at your table you haven't met yet, some stranger, because you know what? We are no longer strangers. We are all San Franciscans, and we're going to need all of your help to make the big changes and reimagine San Francisco that we know it can be. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Rodney. The Chamber is so lucky to have Rodney's leadership. Let's give him another round of applause. Getting us so excited for so many events. Of course, the Super Bowl coming in 2026. All right, up next, I am honored to introduce to you Board President Aaron Peskin. He represents District 3, my district, Telegraph Hill, North Beach area, and earlier this year was elected to be the president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Please help me welcome President Aaron Peskin.
Good morning and welcome to the 173rd Annual CityBeat Chamber Breakfast. It is rather remarkable if you think back to 1850 because it all began right here on our waterfront, and stretching from here are the first neighborhoods of the city and county of San Francisco and what became the center of commerce on the western seaboard of the United States, our downtown. And between these areas, the neighborhoods of Chinatown and North Beach and Telegraph Hill, which today, like the New York experience, are thriving, and our downtown that is ailing, let's not sugarcoat it, we have a challenge. Much is made of our lore of the 1906 earthquake and our resiliency, surviving not one but two pandemics. But we've never had challenges like this. And yes, there's the cliche, there's opportunity in challenges. I don't want to go back to the lessons of 1906 or the 1918 pandemic. I want to go back to the lessons that we learned just a few short years ago that remind us that San Francisco is still the city that knows how. This city's response to the pandemic was better than any urban area in the United States of America. It's true. I salute Mayor London Breed. I salute Grant Colfax, the director of our Department of Public Health. I salute my colleagues because we listened to the doctors. Now we have to repeat that experience. San Francisco is not the only city in the United States that are facing these challenges, but let's be real, they are much more acute here. They are. The nature of work is profoundly changed, and the opportunity is to reimagine our downtown. Now, I represent neighborhoods from here to the Daly City border, so why a disproportionate emphasis on downtown? And it's not just because of the tax revenue. It is because our downtown is a symbol of San Francisco's place in this metropolis. It is a symbol of the vitality that San Francisco is known for throughout the world of finance, of commerce, of innovation, of business. And we can breathe life back into it. And let's talk about those opportunities. First and foremost, this is a time to get back to basics. There are no progressive or moderate potholes to fill, so to speak. There are just potholes to fill. This is a time to check politics at the door. And if there has been one silver lining from this pandemic, it's been that a lot of folks who lived in their own silos, who demonized other folks, are starting to talk to each other because we don't have the luxury not to do so. And from those conversations, good things are emerging. Rather than work in opposition to the chief executive, my office and the Board of Supervisors came together to champion a re-envisioning of downtown. And that legislation will be before the Board of Supervisors next month, in the month of June, to turn San Francisco, to reimagine San Francisco's downtown to be a real neighborhood. We've been victims of our own success. San Francisco's downtown was more susceptible to a virus, so to speak, because it didn't have the diversity of uses that could keep it sustainable and vital when a virus like this hit. We can inject housing into our downtown. We can reconnect San Franciscans and people from around the region with arts and entertainment and culture that our neighborhoods are known for. Our downtown is very small. It has all of those unique, interesting alleys like Leidesdorf, the first treasurer of the city and county of San Francisco, an African-American man. It has places like Belden Place. With the downtown partnership, with Advance SF, with this Chamber of Commerce, we can enliven those areas. We can make place in those areas, but we have to check our politics at the door. Everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. As Harvey Milk said, I am here to recruit you. I'm here to recruit you, and I have been making visits to individual buildings when people call me and say, I think I can convert 425 Mason Street into 56 units of housing. Here's what I need from the city. Absolutely. When Don Ramones was sent to the curb, kicked to the curb, all of us politicians used to like to go to Don Ramones. It blew my mind when Boston Properties, just down the street, offered them a place at Embarcadero Plaza. You guys put skin in the game, the city and county of San Francisco is going to put skin in the game. The conversations that we've been having in room 278, Rodney Fong, have been some of the most hopeful conversations. Now we have to put them in action. The Board of Supervisors collectively said yes to higher wages for law enforcement. We said yes to a $25 million mid-year supplemental appropriation for our police department. We said yes to expanding ambassadors. And now we are taking the next step, which is we have to get our collective hands around this fentanyl crisis. That is a humanitarian crisis. We cannot let it persist in the shadows of City Hall. I need your help in getting that done. This is still a well-resourced city, and it's not going to be any fun cutting $750 million out of our municipal budget in the next 2 years. But we've been there before. Fiscal prudence is a progressive value. And I want to say to this mayor, to the previous mayors that I've had the honor of serving under, previous boards of supervisors, and particularly to the controller of San Francisco, we have some of the highest municipal bond ratings in the United States of America, the healthiest rainy day reserves. We will continue to do that. We will live within our means, and let's be real. The booming economy that was never going to come to an end, we've got a lot of want-to-haves. We've got to get back to the need-to-haves. And the need-to-haves, we've got to start with a clean city. We got to start with a safe city. And when I see the collaboration that is happening between Marissa Rodriguez and the Union Square Alliance with her counterparts at Advance SF and the San Francisco Chamber and Spur that are happening every 2 weeks in room 278 at City Hall, it gives me great hope. Gives me great hope. I'm stealing a line from Wade Rose. There is no silver bullet, but there is silver buckshot. And we've got to work together on every one of those pieces of silver buckshot. And when we do, we will, like a phoenix, rise from the ashes. Thank you.
Thank you, President Peskin. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce's board chair, Catherine Cahill-Thompson. Catherine took over as board chair at the beginning of 2023 and has been a strong advocate and leader for the business community. Please welcome to the stage the 2023 Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors Chair, Catherine Cahill-Thompson.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. I am honored to be serving as your board chair this year. It's a little daunting to be leading the Chamber of Commerce during these times of challenge, but I'm optimistic. So I want to take you on a little journey back to around 1995. I was a high school student here in San Francisco, and that year, my father, Jay Cahill, who's at that table down there, was serving as the board chair of the Chamber of Commerce. And I went to the equivalent of the CityBeat breakfast that year, and thinking back on that day, I can't really remember what was said. But thinking from then until now, there are so many things that I could not have imagined that were in store for this city. First and foremost, I can tell you that I could not have imagined, and would rather have eaten slugs, than think that I would be, like my dad, speaking in front of a large group as the chamber board chair one day. But that's the least of things I couldn't have imagined. I wouldn't have foreseen an entire thriving neighborhood, life sciences sector, and miniature golf course in the blank space that's now Mission Bay. That the Presidio of San Francisco would see the remnants of the military presence fade away, creating an opportunity for residential life, desirable offices, and an unparalleled place for recreation in nature. I would never have imagined that the San Francisco Giants would be playing in a classy ballpark by the water, within walking distance of downtown, where they would bag 3 World Series titles so far. And that down the street from that, the Golden State Warriors would follow with the state-of-the-art Chase Center that attracts sellout basketball crowds and hosts concerts for world-class musical acts. Okay, a few more. I wouldn't have imagined that I could enjoy a cup of coffee and watch my kids play on the Octavia Street corridor where the Central Freeway off-ramps used to stand. That every summer, tens of thousands of people would be treated to a completely free weekend musical extravaganza at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, thanks to the generosity of Warren Hellman. That I can take yoga in Grace Cathedral, ride across town in a driverless car, stroll among the trees of Salesforce Park high above the heart of downtown. That the city of San Francisco would allow restaurants to have al fresco dining where cars used to park. Or that the Golden Gate Park tennis courts, where I played high school tennis matches, would be renovated with a gorgeous new facility, including a court dedicated to a silly but undeniably fun new sport called pickleball. So back in 1995, I might have said that all these things are impossible, but yet they've happened. Now, they weren't easy. They took vision. They took time. They took money from generous individuals, from government coffers, or from a business community that recognized the potential. They took bold individuals to lead the way. They took community engagement and support, and they took working together. So I can tell you that I don't know exactly what San Francisco will look like in 10 or 20 years, but I know that if any city can reimagine itself, it is San Francisco. We have a chance now where the interests of residents, businesses, and city government, which at times have seemed miles apart, are starting to align. These changes will take time, they'll take vision, they will take political will. But now is the time. Let's reimagine San Francisco and get to work together so that today's high schoolers grow up into a San Francisco that is better and stronger than they could ever have imagined. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, for those inspiring remarks and, some humble bragging there about our city. I think it's okay. The San Francisco Chamber of Commerce's outgoing chair, Scott Dunlap, is unable to join us in person today, but wanted to share a video with us this morning. Scott showed amazing leadership for the board of directors in 2022, so let us hear the highlights from his time as chair.
Good morning. There's nothing more satisfying than passing the baton to someone who's not only an extraordinary leader, but also a special colleague and friend. My very best wishes to our new board chair, Catherine Cahill Thompson. I want to open this morning with a message of deep gratitude for the opportunity that I had last year to work alongside an incredible team of leaders at the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. Rodney Fong, you are a tireless force for positive change in this city. And I've learned a lot from you about leadership, about building a high-performance team, and tackling tough problems with conviction and compassion. The staff at the San Francisco Chamber is truly best in class, committed, creative, and collaborative. I was fortunate to step into the role of chair last year with a board executive committee that was made up of A-list business and civic leaders. These were the chairs of the hardworking committees that got things done for the Chamber and its members. To the full board of directors at the Chamber and to all of our Chamber members, thank you for the trust that you placed in me to lead during a time of reopening and change. It was a personal and professional honor to be part of the work and many achievements of the Chamber for this great city of San Francisco. Recently, one of the executive committee members told me that he thought I had it easy last year. I think he was comparing me to the 2-year tour of duty led by my predecessor, Melinda Yee Franklin, during the depth of the pandemic. I don't know if anything in life is easy these days, but I will say this: I had a lot of fun. We held this CityBeat event in May last year, in person for the first time in 3 years. We held multiple merchant walks in neighborhoods across the city. We celebrated ribbon cuttings. We had an incredible small business week, just like the one we had this month, where we celebrated women-owned business with opening and closing parties at the East Cut and the Pearl. We hosted executive receptions. We held the Unite SF Workforce Development Program at LinkedIn. There were Leadership San Francisco fundraising events, and the Leadership San Francisco program itself resumed live classes last year. The Well Conference was back, thanks to Accenture, and we had one of the best Ebbies program in the history of the Chamber at the Design Center, with art, entertainment, culture, and business center stage. It was a year of bringing people together again after a period of withdrawal and isolation. It was a year of significant impact in public policy, in new Chamber membership, and the further growth and diversification of our board. If you missed any of that, there's more of it to come in the months and year ahead. Follow us on social media. Visit the events page on the Chamber website. We invite you to engage. We need your help, your voice, your ideas, and your energy. If you work downtown, please come back to the office. Small business needs you. Public transit needs you. San Francisco, the greatest city on earth, needs you. It's killing me not to be there with all of you. Thank you all again, and please enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Scott, for your leadership and all that you do for our business community. Now it is my honor to introduce Papia Gambellin, Managing Director, State and Local Government Affairs at United Airlines, a long-standing Chamber partner, Chair of the Public Policy Committee, and our presenting sponsor for 2023 CityBeat. Please give a warm welcome to Papia.
Good morning. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. San Francisco's visionary leader, Mayor London Breed, has been a beacon of progress and resilience since she has taken office. Mayor Breed stands as a champion of change, working tirelessly to create a city that thrives with opportunity and compassion. With that, please join me in welcoming our badass mayor of San Francisco, London Breed.
Good morning, and thank you, Papia. Right now, we are at a unique moment here in San Francisco. Just yesterday, I was at an artificial intelligence conference in downtown San Francisco. All AI leaders from all over came to our city to share ideas around the technology that is changing the world. The excitement and the energy was inspiring. 11 11 of the top 20 AI companies are right here in San Francisco. 3,400 employees and $5.7 billion in capital. You can't talk about AI without talking about this city. We are at the heart of what's next. We are at the center of innovation, the home to those dreaming of what's possible. We are in a moment bursting with opportunity. Uncertainty, yes, that too, but real opportunity. 3 months ago during my State of the City, we launched our roadmap to our downtown recovery. This roadmap is about recognizing we need to change and set a clear vision, that we can't just do what we've always done and cross our fingers and hope that everything will work out. There are very real challenges we face, and all of us, everyone in this room, we can and we must work together to solve them. And we need to start by changing the narrative about San Francisco. We need to tell our own story, not let others in the news media who don't even live here talk about our city when they have no idea what it feels like to live here. We know San Francisco must be a safe city, and that starts with our police force. Since the start of the pandemic, we've struggled to fill police academy classes, and we've lost officers to retirements and transfers to other cities. We are over 500 officers short. But we have a plan to reverse course and get our city back to full staffing. To fill those academy classes, we're increasing pay, making San Francisco the highest paid starting police salary of any large city in the Bay Area. To keep the officers we do have from leaving or retiring early, we are funding retention incentives. And we are sending the message that while reforms matter and are important, we can celebrate our officers while holding them accountable and to the highest of standards in keeping all people in this city safe. But safety is about more than just police. Our street crisis response team is out 24/7 responding to emergency mental health calls. Our ambassadors are all across our downtown, here along the waterfront and throughout our neighborhoods. They are supporting our small businesses, our workers, and our residents. We've all seen the headlines, the ones that take the challenges that we face and make it seem as though those are the only things that define San Francisco. I know we have work to do, but there's a lot of good happening in this city too. Part of our roadmap is to celebrate the arts, the culture, and entertainment that makes San Francisco so unique and a destination. We want residents and visitors to come to downtown. We want your employees to be excited about coming to work. We want them to walk out on their lunch hour to the Ferry Building and discover a music performance. We want them to stumble upon Yerba Buena Arts and makers markets and our Union Square in the bloom. You don't get that at home, going from your bedroom to your kitchen to your bathroom to all of the things that we do at home or don't do, right? And downtown can't just be a 9-to-5 financial district or just for shopping. Times are changing. They've been changing since before the pandemic. Just last week, we launched the city's first night market that brought over 10,000 people downtown on a Friday night. Our streets are magic when they are alive with people. They are filled with possibilities. And to keep our existing businesses stable and to recruit new ones to join them, we need to reform our layers of local taxes. 2023, that's all the company owners out there clapping. 2023 taxes can't be the same as 2019 taxes. They weren't working then, and they certainly aren't working now. Let's diversify our business community by bringing in more businesses, bringing in more biotech and green tech. Let's continue to grow AI. Let's expand our lab space so we can have more of the incredible talent that is the envy of the world, making the groundbreaking discoveries and changing lives. We've got the best universities in the world, Berkeley, Stanford, UCSF, USF, cultivating the brightest minds right here in the Bay Area. These are the people who are going to change the world, and we need to create the space for them to grow and deliver on that brilliance. We are changing our zoning across our downtown and Union Square to help fill empty spaces with more diverse uses. The nature of retail is different. People aren't shopping the way they used to, and we can't keep pretending that they're going to go back. We have to be relentless in getting rid of the barriers to everything we do in San Francisco, from permitting small businesses to building housing. We can't just say there's only one thing here and one thing there. We have to diversify. And my Housing for All plan tears down the barriers and the bureaucracy that get in the way of the housing we need for workers, for families, for seniors. We face enough obstacles outside of our control. We can't keep, as a city, getting in our own way. But our future can't just be about the important but technical changes that we need to make. We have to think bigger. We have to dream and be open to new possibilities. That's in our DNA. Look all around this city. At Pier 70, the old ironworks that built military ships and BART tunnels, it's now home to a groundbreaking satellite technology company. It was completely abandoned and unavailable to the public, and it's changing the future of technology. At Crissy Field, an old airplane hangars were turned into climbing gyms and a trampoline park. Who knew? Just look at one of our most iconic buildings, the Transamerica Pyramid Building. Right now, Chavot is investing $1 billion into transforming the property and the surrounding area into a beautiful new space. How many visitors come to San Francisco and go to the Pyramid Building and look around and say, oh, it's just people working here? It's going to become a place that people can go, restaurants and all kinds of things, not just for business, but for the public to enjoy and for visitors from across the world to dream. This is what we do. We have to look at Westfield Mall, not as a mall losing stores, which probably most people didn't even shop in, but as a place ripe for reimagining, from science to technology to lab space. Lab space is at a 5% vacancy rate, in desperate need of those tall ceilings. Anything could be possible. We have to look at Moscone Center, not just as a home to our conventions, but think about all that underutilized space on top of Moscone Center and how it could be endless possibilities and opened up and made available to people. A new professional women's soccer team is coming to the Bay Area, and the team is having a launch event in the Presidio in June. Wouldn't it be an incredible opportunity for downtown? Maybe plant it right on top of Moscone Center and create a whole new dynamic of what downtown could be, because many of us may know that Moscone Center used to be nothing but parking, and now look at what it is. But let's not stop there, because we know what it can be. We have to look at the change happening all around us, not as a reason to despair, but as an opportunity to dream. We have to be bold. Some of it may never happen, but that shouldn't stop us from putting pen to paper. Enough of us throwing up our hands every time a store closes. Sadly, it's going to happen. The world is changing. How we shop has changed. The new generation, it's changing. In San Francisco, we celebrate our history as we build on what no one thought was possible. So join me. Join me in changing the narrative and in talking about more of what's possible. Everyone in this room has a role to play. to build new housing, to start or grow a business, to transform a building and make it something that you never thought it could be, to tell the story of what you are doing to be a part of our incredible future, to tell the story of this great city. We've got work to do, but let's embrace that work. Let's chase those opportunities. Let's think bigger than we ever have before, and we will make magic happen in San Francisco again. Let's not let anyone else tell our story or talk about who we are, because we know who we are and we know what we're capable of. Yes, we have challenges. And the last thing I want to say before I leave is that I need support from the business community. I know that in many instances over the past years when ballot initiatives and taxes and other things have come forward, most of the time the business community wants to stay neutral and focus on doing their business. And the sad reality is now we are starting to experience what happens when you put forth bad policies. It is crippling business in San Francisco like never before. So when I start to propose changes and work with the business community and others to reform our tax system so we're not double dipping or doing all the things that are making it impossible for business to predict financial certainty while trying to hire staff and create all these new opportunities, I need the business community to have the courage to stand with me. I need the business community to be willing to take chances. This city is worth taking a chance on. I'm willing to put it all on the line for public safety, to address the challenges around homelessness, to build 82,000 units in the next 8 years, to reform our tax structures and do the things that are going to help get our city to the next level. So I'm going to be counting on you and counting on your support to help us get through the next couple of years. Because if I know nothing else about the city and county of San Francisco, I know that we're resilient. I know people may try to kick us down, but for whatever reason, we continue to emerge and emerge a better, stronger, more vibrant, amazing city than ever before. And no one's gonna stop us from coming back from that. So thank you all so much for being here and for having me, and let's get San Francisco back on the right path.
Thank you, Mayor Breed, for sharing the amazing things that are already in place here in our city, some of the changes we can see, and then hopefully inspiring some of us to be part of the change to make this city even better. Thank you. Let's give another round of applause for San Francisco Mayor London Breed. And now I would like to invite Rodney Fong back up on stage to share more about the work and the vision of the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. Rodney?
Great, thank you. Like all of us in the room, I'm bullish on San Francisco. And I know we are still a world-class city with stunning views, a haven for creativity, a welcoming place for all, and a home of a highly skilled workforce. Now more than ever, we need to highlight those strengths of San Francisco. As we look to grow, retain, attract new and existing industries in our city, we have to start doing a better job of selling San Francisco and our strengths, as the mayor talked about. I'm excited to share the Center for Economic Development is relaunching. The Center for Economic Development aims to grow San Francisco's economy by helping businesses locate and expand in the Bay Area. And would like to welcome Ken Stram, who's our newly appointed new Executive Director of the Center for Economic Development. Please welcome Ken Stram. Thank you. I'm also proud to share that the business community and City Hall have been working together to help showcase San Francisco as a destination for the work and travelers that it's become. Together, we created the following message, launched as part of a national campaign with the Business Times to show San Francisco and what we have to offer. Please watch this video.
They said this city changed me, but I told them this city made me. The people I've met, the places we've been. It's given me opportunities I would never have seen. With open arms, open minds, this city has helped me be me. It's shown everyone that when you bring different together, you move the world forward. That together, a ripple becomes a wave, impossibilities become realities, and that a single meeting can be life-changing. Here, we defy conventions. We change perspectives. We inspire future generations. We are bold. We are golden. We are the break in the clouds, a beacon in the dark, a haven for wild imagination. We set out every day into the unknown to put the world in your hands. We are the collective endeavor that changes the world forever. This is the chance to see what we can become. Make your place in the future. Make your future in San Francisco.
I hope you all enjoyed that video, and watch out for future advertisements and marketing campaigns to attract employees, businesses, and travelers to San Francisco. The San Francisco Chamber of Commerce is deeply invested in reimagining our downtown to be a core, more vibrant, resilient, diverse, and sustainable. We know to accomplish that, we have to come together to explore innovative ideas and push for funding and policy changes. The Chamber is a convener, and my goal is to provide a table for all of our thought leaders to come together to forge solutions. I know there's not going to be one hero, one idea that will solve San Francisco's challenges. In ways that I've never seen before, the business community has come together to brainstorm, refine, champion collective advocacy efforts. These efforts are centered around making housing production pencil out in San Francisco, funding and enhancing our transit system both locally and regionally, and finally, making downtown fun, vibrant, as the mayor was suggesting. This means supporting the small businesses, making it easier and less costly for existing and new entrepreneurs to open up and operate a business. Increasing foot traffic in our downtown to provide a more reliable customer base for businesses through events and programming. Continuing to advocate for clean and safe streets so employees, residents, and visitors want to come to the downtown. And exploring more ways to make conversions of existing spaces to new uses and serve emerging industries. Over the course of many months, our partners have been meeting to hash out all of these policy ideas. As we look to make a new future in San Francisco, please take a moment to hear from our business community leaders on their thoughts of why the future is better if we stay together.
So I grew up in the Central Valley, and I'd always wanted to come to San Francisco. It was always an aspirational place to land. I was fortunate enough to get a job here, and I've been here for the last 17 years, and I love the DNA of San Francisco, and I can't see myself being anywhere else.
My pitch to a business moving to San Francisco would be about its natural beauty, our environment here, the intellectual capacity of San Francisco, things being innovated every moment as we're speaking right now, and this is the future.
San Francisco's strengths are what they've always been. I think they're the location, the proximity to the great workers, the feel of San Francisco. Just the opportunities combined with its location are, I think, its real strength.
It feels like a headquarters city, and so many great companies and so many great inventions and things have happened in San Francisco. I think for a company, San Francisco is a top choice.
Make Your Future San Francisco, and the video that was created by the Chamber and the business community was really inspiring because it really shows the opportunity that businesses can have here in downtown San Francisco. I think for us, the pandemic was really a restart, and now we have opportunity to bring industries and small businesses that probably have been priced out.
San Francisco's always reinvented itself, and I don't think that this is going to be any different. In terms of what's going to take us to the next level, I would say it's the community. It's the workers that come into the city. It's the neighborhoods where people live in the city, and we're incredibly optimistic about the next version of San Francisco, which is right around the corner.
Well, San Francisco always finds a way to overcome obstacles, whether it's an earthquake, whether it's pandemics, tech bubbles. we always come back better and we always come back stronger. We're very forward thinking and we always work together when the challenges are in front of us. And I believe that San Francisco will be the future once again.
We are better together because we can achieve more when we support one another. You know, we can't continue to be in silos. We have to lean in and support each other. We have to have a shared vision. There are strength in numbers.
We're better together because it's a community that builds a community. You need people working together, sharing ideas. An individual may have a brilliant idea, but they have to implement, and that takes the group.
One word to describe San Francisco is stunning.
Fun.
Resilience.
Magical.
Majestic.
Dynamic.
I'll give you two. Pure opportunity.
Ever evolving.
Home.
Can I ask all of the community leaders who've part of that video to stand up, please? Your staff, your consultants, there are many people part of this. Thank you. This is actually generally my favorite part. As we imagine the future of San Francisco, we have to include the voice of that future, our youth. And a few months ago, the Chamber sent out a question, a call to action to the youth of San Francisco. We asked them to share what their future of San Francisco looks like. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the winner of that competition, Brandon Gigante. Brandon is a Filipino-American storyteller born and raised in the Bay. He works at Youth Speaks as a resident teaching artist and as a student at the University of San Francisco. Please help me welcome Brandon Gigante.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me just say what a heavy honor it is to be here, to be able to have this platform to speak as one of the voices of the youth of San Francisco. And what a beautiful morning it is to hear all of these speeches about reimagining the future of San Francisco. So I hope now you will all join me in listening about what I imagine this future to be. Imagine you wake up in a city that loves you. My friends, in the end, we, the people, give this city, San Francisco, its sainthood. At St. Anthony's, there's a warm plate for a person in any outfit. United Players keeps the kids off the street. At Urban Alchemy, they meet the community with nonviolence. And at 826 Valencia, I put on a pirate voice, and kids create worlds and stories with each other. And maybe there's a lesson here. Maybe, my friends, we can create our own cities. One where no one needs to hurt each other anymore because this ain't that kind of city. Lolo is healthy because the gym is free and each bus stop is a stone's throw away. And Mimi, my little sister, walks to Target to school without worry. And every night the titas go out dancing and spread their arms like wildfire. And the titos cut cards in parks after dark and laugh with all their teeth. And my homies, they hang out in tree shade and not parking lots. And no matter which way the window faces, it will get some sun. And no matter which way I walk, there will always be a path. And everyone has a place they name home. Let us make a city that we can name home, my friends. What separates a place from a home, I believe, is how a person is able to sleep within it. So let us create a city that allows us to sleep out of abundance and not necessity, a city that holds us in its mouth like newborn and not prey. I want to see my people dancing on every street that sought to kill them. My Asian elders tap dancing on Giri signs. I want to see a city that we can pass through unbroken. You know, a city that calls us home. Because all we have is each other. Because why else would I call this city home if it weren't for all of you? Thank you so much.
Wow. Okay, and we have another reason to celebrate Brandon because Brandon is a recent graduate from the University of San Francisco, just graduated Saturday. So Yes, let's clap for that. Amazing. Okay, so right now we are going to continue on with our program, and I'd like to invite Papia Gamblin back on stage to share this year's CityBeat poll. Papia.
Good to see you again. It's my pleasure to be here presenting the key findings of the United Airlines CityBeat poll, and to share with you how San Franciscans are feeling about our city and where it's headed. Before I dive into it, I wanted to just share with you how United Airlines and my colleagues feel about San Francisco. This is one of 6 bases for us. We are so excited to work with leaders like Ivar, Jeff, Kathy, and the SFO team and invest in San Francisco. We have big, big plans for our terminals here. Our employees are excited to be here and serve the friendly skies from San Francisco, and we're gonna continue to invest. So we have hope and optimism. We're gonna share a lot of information this morning that might sound a little less than exciting, but what is exciting is the opportunity that you're gonna hear today. So the CityBeat poll helps us take the pulse of our city and provides critical data to policymakers, business community, and the public about the concerns of San Franciscans. Over the past several years, the Chamber has commissioned the poll with well-respected firm EMC Research. The firm surveys San Francisco voters' opinions on many issues, spotlights those that are the greatest concern to them. The poll asks many of the same questions year over year, so the findings can be identified and used as a baseline on opinions and attitudes. Now, this data is more important than ever, as you've heard today. San Francisco has a generational opportunity to tackle our biggest challenges, and the CityBeat poll gives us insight into what San Francisco voters want. So let's hear what they have to say. 77% of voters say that San Francisco as a whole is on the wrong track, while 17% say we are headed in the right direction. A similar 73% of respondents said that quality of life in San Francisco over the last few years has gotten worse, while only 5% say it has gotten better. 20% said the quality of life has stayed the same. As we talk about the future of the city, we're seeing significantly more residents concerned and displeased about the quality of life in San Francisco overall, compared to their neighborhoods where a lower 48% said quality of life had gotten worse. Those high numbers on quality of life are also reflected in reactions of individuals' issues. A top concern this year has been crime and public safety. In our 2020 poll, 26% listed crime as a top concern. Last year, that number increased to 55%. In this year's poll, 60% of the voters said that crime was a top concern. 77% of the voters say that crime has gotten worse over the past few years. Digging deeper, on public safety, this year's poll asked residents if they felt safe visiting downtown. 64% said they feel safe visiting downtown San Francisco during the day, while only 30% said that they felt safe at night. Another issue of our city continues to face is cleanliness of our streets. 75% of those polled said that the conditions had gotten worse. While San Francisco downtown is seeing some pickup according to the Chamber of Commerce data dashboard, 26% residents say that they go downtown 3 days or more a week, and 41% are going at least once a week. 91% of residents agree that a thriving downtown San Francisco is critical to the region's economy. This is huge. We know that our downtown is the economic core of our city, fueling almost 80% of San Francisco's GDP. Without the taxes generated in this core, our city will not have the funds we need to execute social programs, let alone expand on the issues that we're identifying and addressing and the needs that we have that are rising. Knowing that San Francisco residents understand how closely tied the future of our downtown is to the entire business ecosystem and the future of our city is a point of optimism. I know it doesn't feel like that, but I promise that there is. San Franciscans are overwhelmingly supportive of the solutions to these issues that were proposed by our badass Mayor London Breed's roadmap to downtown San Francisco's future. This is critical. San Francisco's business community has come together to support and advocate for initiatives that will rebuild the economy and the economic core, our own livable spaces, programmable, and resilient neighborhoods that support innovation. Voters are widely supportive of a variety of proposals relating to downtown. So I have a few things to share about that, which is exciting. 77% of the voters agree that there should be more downtown housing. 79% of voters agree that there should be more events downtown. 75% of voters agree that there should be more restaurants and bars downtown. And 78% of voters agree that there should be more entertainment downtown. There's also a strong support for offering financial incentives for both small and large businesses to stay and move into downtown, with 89% supporting incentives for small businesses, 68% supporting incentives for large businesses. San Franciscans are clearly concerned about the direction and the future of our city. The issues we face are not unique to San Francisco. Homelessness, crime, drugs are complex issues that cities throughout the nation are currently experiencing. But as said earlier, it's acute here in San Francisco. But if anywhere can reinvent itself and try to take some of these overwhelming issues, it is here in San Francisco. We heard loud and clear that San Franciscans are committed and willing to support bold, positive solutions to address these challenges. Our CityBeat poll demonstrates that these solutions have overwhelming support from the public and deserve equal support within City Hall. Over the coming months, this data will continue to inform the Chamber's advocacy agenda as we work closely with our partners, our elected officials, our leaders, all of you, to address these issues our city is facing. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Papia. A lot to think about, right? Lots of info there, but we appreciate Papia giving us that information. Now I'd like to introduce to you Peter Grable, Greater Bay Area Region Head from Fifth Third Bank, to introduce the economic forecast. Peter, come on out.
Well, thank goodness I don't have to follow Brandon. I followed a poll, so I feel a lot better about that. First, I'd like to thank the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce for being such a valued partner of ours. We're excited to be the innovator sponsor of CityBeat this year to help bring this crucial information to the city, its leaders, residents, and businesses. For those of you who aren't familiar with Fifth Third Bank, we've been in business for over 160 years, offering insights and customer solutions to business owners to help them reach their unique goals. We've been in California market since 2012, but specifically here in San Francisco for just over 4 years, and recently expanded into the Central Valley. We've also added a team of wealth advisors here in our San Francisco area, so we're happy to have them on our team. Fifth Third is one of the few US-based banks to have been named among Ethisphere's world's most ethical companies for several years, with a commitment to taking care of our customers, employees, communities, and shareholders. Our goal is not only to be the nation's highest performing regional bank, but to be the bank people value most and trust. And now, I'd like to introduce you to our chief economist of Fifth Third Commercial Bank, Jeff Korzenik. Jeff is a Princeton grad, go Tigers. He's an award-winning author whose writings have been featured in the Harvard Business Review, Newsweek, Forbes, and many other national and regional publications. And Jeff has appeared regularly on CNBC, Bloomberg, and Fox News. Most recently, Jeff has been lauded as a leading expert on private sector models for hiring people with criminal records and advancing public safety throughout employment. And the Donald L. Ream Elementary School called him kind of a big deal. So Jeff, welcome.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate that unique intro, Peter. This is obviously a morning of great inspiration, but also facing up to hard facts. And I think the economy is really no different. If you were here last year, you may remember our view at Fifth Third was an outlier in the industry. We believed that we would not have a recession in 2022. It was not that all the problems would be solved, but that we would have time to address the underlying issues. And I'm sorry to tell you that we're running out of time. And this is most evident in the pace of inflation in the US. This is a chart of core inflation, one of the many measures. And this chart, like many others, will have vertical gray areas. Those are periods of recession, in this case, the 2020 recession. And what you'll see is that we were in a very stable inflation environment, perhaps even a too low inflation environment prior to 2020. But as we know, coming out of the pandemic, we had soaring inflation. And we have made improvement. But we've stalled. And we've stalled at levels of inflation that will keep our Federal Reserve, our central bankers, keeping the foot on the brake of the economy and continuing to risk a recession. The reason it's stalled is because we have persistent wage growth that is above what would be consistent with acceptable inflation. Wages are still climbing too high, about 5%. These are two different measures here, one average hourly earnings growth, the other employment cost index, which includes benefits. In both cases, when you have inflation and wages running around 5%, you can't get to the Fed's target of 2% core inflation. So the Fed's going to keep tightening or at least keep rates consistently high in ways to slow the economy further, risking a recession. The reason the wages are so high is because we have an unaddressed issue, an imbalance in the economy that has yet to be reckoned with. And there's some good news to this imbalance, but there's also fundamentally bad news. The imbalance is the difference between job openings and job seekers in the United States. It's the labor shortage. And at this point in the economy, it's all about the labor shortage. How we address this labor shortage will determine whether we have a recession or not and how bad that recession will be. The chart before you shows the difference between job openings and job seekers. In the what we once considered a traditional economy, those areas of green, we had more job seekers than job openings. For those of us in the business community, employers, this was great. Every opening you had unfilled, you had multiple applicants and you got to pick and choose and you didn't have to pay up for them. But by 2018, 2019, that red area, we started to see the developing labor shortage play out, interrupted by the pandemic, of course, but it's now at a place on the far right side of this chart, a labor shortage of a magnitude we have never seen before in American history. The difference is roughly 4 million workers short. And as long as this persists, it's not only a break on our long-term growth and hindrance to our long-term growth, it's also something that is causing inflation. Now, there's some embedded good news. This gives us time because when you have roughly 5.5 million job seekers and 9.5 million job openings every month, many of those job seekers land jobs. And we've had this persistent payroll growth. How big has that growth been? The red line shows going back to the beginning of 2022, we've added 5.6 million jobs net to the US economy. That's great news, and it means we're not in a recession. And we're not particularly close to a recession. How do jobs fare in periods of recession? We track job growth in every recession going back to 1948. That's all those other lines. In recessions, you lose jobs. In expansions, you gain them. That's just common sense. We are going to continue gaining jobs for some time, but we're starting to lose momentum a little bit. And this is our fear. Because underneath the job growth, we're seeing decay within the US economy. This shows the relationship between green Fed funds rate and blue banks tightening lending standards. And as you can see on the far right-hand side, banks have been tightening lending standards. Obviously, in the wake of Silicon Valley and First Republic, this has only moved up a little bit higher, not too bad, because we were already deeply pessimistic within the banking sector as a whole and had been tightening lending standards. That tends to, if you think of the Fed tapping the brakes on the economy with every rate increase, The events largely centered in this market in the banking industry tended to slam the foot on the brakes of the economy, risking further growth down the road. We pay a lot of attention to surveys of purchasing managers because purchasing managers have a forward-looking view of the economy. We pay particular attention to purchasing managers within the manufacturing sector. That's the green line in these charts. This is a survey from the Institute of Supply Management that polls purchasing managers and essentially asks, are conditions better this month than preceding months? The percentage of respondents who say they're better is what creates these data points. So when you're above the 50% mark, that's that horizontal bar, you're generally in a contraction. Take a look on the far right side, you can see manufacturing, a very reliable indicator, has slipped into contraction territory. It's not a slam dunk. Historically, you've needed 7 consecutive months below that 50% mark for there to be a recession. We're at 6 consecutive months. Now, a lot of rules have been broken in economics. This alone doesn't ensure a recession, but points to the increasing risk of the recession as long as wage inflation continues. Consumers had held the economy up very well. Obviously, if you're giving people paychecks who didn't have paychecks before, that adds to the consumer firepower. And consumers entered this challenging period with very low levels of indebtedness. To the degree people had outstanding debt, the primary debt is mortgage debt. People had locked in mortgages of 3% or less. Debt costs relative to income haven't changed very much. That's the blue line on the bottom. But not everyone's a homeowner. About a third of consumers are renters. And rent costs have soared in this period. That's that green line. And are squeezing the consumer along with other types of inflation. So again, we see erosion going forward. In the corporate sector, those who might be less reliant on bank lending but be able to go to the capital markets through bond issuance. Here too, this chart going back to 2002 shows the cost, the additional cost of borrowing given credit concerns in the bond market. The green line is the high yield, what's called the high yield spread, marginal borrowers. How much more do they have to pay to attract people willing to lend money to them in the bond market? And you can see this kind of spikes over time. It's not yet at recession signals, but it's elevated. And again, another cause for concern. S&P earnings, as a proxy for broader corporate earnings, appear to have peaked out. How do corporations respond when they can't grow their earnings? They want to keep growing them, they start cutting costs. You start cutting costs typically through layoffs. And so we're seeing rising layoffs, not enough to create general job destruction in the economy. But again, the message this morning is facing reality. We have to face the reality of challenges ahead. So how do we address the great imbalance that's creating persistent inflation and is pointing us in the direction of the recession? Here's the imbalance. Blue is job openings, green is job seekers. Our Federal Reserve has a solution for this. Let's drive a recession, get layoffs, get businesses to pull off job openings, lay off people, create more job seekers. That's a pretty unattractive outcome. So in this morning of reimagining, can we reimagine other ways to do this? And there are other pathways. One is you can accept large wage increases if your workers are more productive. We could pay all our workers 10% more every year if they were 10% more productive. You wouldn't have to pass on higher cost increases, you could maintain profitability. So we can offset some wage increases with productivity growth. Unfortunately, going back here to 1948, productivity growth seems to be rolling over a little bit. And in terms of the actual numbers, to offset 5% wage growth, you'd have to see about 3% productivity growth. It's happened before, you can see on this chart, but it's fairly rare. And in fact, one of the ways you offset productivity growth is through the adoption and investment in technologies and machinery and equipment. And that happens when businesses are very confident about the future. And I think as you saw in the poll and also in national polls, businesses aren't very confident. But there is another aspect to productivity growth, and one that we economists probably don't talk enough about. And that's the potential within our employees to be more productive through training, investment, and critically experience. We looked back at Fifth Third at when do people really pick up productivity in their careers? And you can witness it, you can't measure it directly, but you can say, well, people become higher earners because they become more productive. And so we looked at earnings by age bracket, and what you'll see is the big pickup in people's productivities and earnings is when you go from 35 to 44 years old. That's the single biggest period of time in people's life cycle, their career life cycle, to gain productivity. And we are fortunate that the millennial generation, the largest cohort in our workforce, is hitting this sweet spot. But it doesn't occur automatically. Why do people become more productive during this time period? Some of it is you have career direction and maturity. But an awful lot of it is because you are in a workplace. You are in a downtown, and you are there to have exposure to mentors, exposure to customers. And I understand some industries can do pretty well on a virtual-only basis. But in the economy as a whole, we need our millennial workers to be present, to be exposed to the things that will drive their productivity over their career. And we need the older workers, the mentors, to be in the downtowns and in these offices to help our younger colleagues thrive as well. Thank you. There is another aspect to solving our workforce problem, our imbalance, and that's if we can reach into our populations and create more opportunities and raise what economists call the labor force participation rate, which is depicted here. This is the percentage of adults, technically civilian, non-institutionalized adults, who are in the labor force, either working or actively seeking jobs. And you can see right in the middle there, COVID took a terrible toll on this, largely through accelerating the retirement of older workers. But we are coming back, and this is one of the most hopeful trends any economist can look at. The more you raise your labor force participation rate, the greater you address not only today's labor force imbalance, but the greater you drive long-term growth in the US economy, because you can grow your workforce faster. We should have no illusions. This is not easy, but the trend is starting to work for us. And the trend is starting to work for us despite some very daunting obstacles. The biggest obstacle we have is depicted in the chart on the left. This is the fertility rate in the United States going back to 1960. Why do we have a labor shortage? A lot of it has to do with we stopped having enough babies 20 and 30 years ago. I mean, that's the bottom line. And it's pretty hard to do anything about that. We used to, on this chart, fertility, we had 3.6 children per biological woman on average at the tail end of the baby boom. We fell sharply, and we've hovered around that dotted line. That's what's called the replacement rate. How many children do you need just to sustain your population? That clearly has something to do with workforce growth. And you'll see that we have continued to drop off since the great financial crisis. Again, we economists have learned to avoid saying the phrase, "this time is different." We should not shrink back from noticing that we have never seen a fertility rate this low in US history either. These are formidable obstacles, yet we're doing it. How are we growing our labor force participation in the face of this obstacle? We're doing it in part because the business community is focusing on talent acquisition in a way they never have before. And we in the business community are good problem solvers. Some of this is simply undoing the sloppiness we had in the past when we had an abundant labor supply. How do you deal with, as one Dallas CEO told me, every opening I'd have 400 applicants? How do you deal with that? Start putting restrictions in. I just want to see people with master's degrees or bachelor's degrees. We over-credentialize our barriers. Dropping those is going to be critical, and examining what barriers you have. Flexibility for working parents is going to be critical moving forward. Pathways for older workers. Economists have a convention, they talk about prime age workers. What do they mean by prime age? And every economist focuses on this, and our government officials talk about the prime age workers. Prime age, according to the definition, is 25 to 54-year-olds. I deeply resent that definition. Other countries at least take it up to 64. Why should we have this mindset that an older worker is somehow less of a worker? And many countries, as you'll see ahead, have done a much better job at that. I'm a big fan, some of you may remember, of establishing non-traditional talent pipelines, most notably the 19 million Americans who have a felony conviction in the US. The Commonwealth Club was generous enough to invite me to participate in one of their discussions. If you're interested, I'd urge you to do it. I was on with my terrific friend Ken Oliver, talking about how millions of our fellow citizens can have better access if we in the business community understand how to do this right. And then I always do caution business groups, if your solution, because I'm guilty of this myself, if your solution to having unfilled staff positions is to work everyone harder, right? We're all guilty of it. That's a really bad long-term strategy because we're just going to burn people out. So these are formidable barriers. Is it doable? Can we reimagine our talent acquisition and development policies in ways that bode well for the future? It's been done by others. This is, I think, the most important graph in economics today. And I think we at Fifth Third are the only ones showing it. So this is a sneak preview at some work we're doing with partnering with a Japan economist. The blue line is the population of Japan, right? You talk about workforce growth. Pretty hard to grow your workforce when your population is shrinking. The Japanese population, because of a really low fertility rate that started decades before ours, has shrunk for 12 consecutive years. That should be a disaster for workforce growth. But the green line is Japan's workforce. They've grown their workforce by millions, even in the face of this daunting characteristic. And we can learn their lessons. Their lessons, incidentally, more women in the workforce and more opportunities for women. Their lessons are pathways for older worker and recognizing that a worker who turns from 54 to 55 is still a prime worker, as are many in later stages. Their lessons are against formidable political obstacles to immigration, finding a workaround in guest worker programs, which have added significantly to their workforce. And as the son and grandson of immigrants, and in this great city populated by sons, grandsons, great-grandchildren of immigrants, we can do better at creating opportunities, not just for those of us who are born in this country, but for those who are born elsewhere and seek the opportunities. I have to center this. I think it's too late to avoid an actual recession. But the fact that we are addressing these workforce challenges means that the recession will be fairly light and fairly short-lived. But looking beyond, we've all been through recessions, some light, some hard. But looking beyond, I am very optimistic because the business community, we great problem solvers, are addressing, creating more opportunities for marginalized workers, for women who've been excluded for opportunities, for pathways for foreign-born workers. All of these things bode very well. For San Francisco, this is not just about reimagining, this is about innovation. And I'm happy to say that there is no business community and no city that is better at innovation than San Francisco. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you so much. We want to thank all of today's speakers. Mayor London Breed, let's give her another round of applause. Board of Supervisors President Aaron Peskin, Papia Gamblin, Peter Gribble, and Jeff Korzenik. They did a great job for us and gave us so much insight. So once again, thank you. And another thanks to our Chamber of Commerce leadership, Rodney Fong, Catherine Cahill-Thompson, and Scott Dunlap. And I want to thank our staff here today who put on such a beautiful event, gave us some delicious food to start off our day. So let's give a warm round of applause to all of the staff that made this possible and made this such a great event. I do want to let you know that you should keep an eye out for upcoming San Francisco Chamber events. They are Women Empowering Leadership and Learning Conference. That's by Accenture this fall. I went to this event last year. Any of you ladies and men out here, you should definitely check out this event. It's inspiring. It's amazing. Definitely a great one to be a part of. And the annual Excellence in Business Awards. If you're interested in learning more about the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce, I encourage you to visit sfchamber.com and then follow them on social media. Thanks again to everyone for helping us make this event possible. Our sponsors, our speakers, our guests, all of you, thank you for taking time out of your morning to be here. We hope to see you again next year. Enjoy and make sure to tune into ABC 7 News tonight. We'll have much more coverage of this for you on TV. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.